Good morning, students. Am I audible? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start today's class. In today's class, we are going to discuss one important concept of BJT biasing. Already, you people have studied in your first year engineering what exactly the BJT and few applications of BJT you have already studied. So in this module, we'll be briefly discussing about what exactly you mean by biasing of the bipolar junction transistor. And in brief, we'll be discussing about the three biasing techniques. Those are called as fixed bias circuit, collector to base bias circuit, and the voltage divider bias circuit. Right. So in today's class, I'll be discussing only about these three biasing techniques. Right. Again, these are important from your examination point of view also. Right. So can anybody define what is bipolar junction transistor? Yes. What exactly you mean by a bipolar junction transistor? Yes, BJT stands for a bipolar junction transistor. So how do we define that BJT or a bipolar junction transistor? So bipolar junction transistor is basically a three-terminal, three-layer solid-state semiconductor device which is formed by sandwiching one type of semiconductor between pair of opposite type of semiconductors. Again, I am repeating, bipolar junction transistor is a three-terminal, three-layer solid-state device consisting of two PN junction and is formed by sandwiching one type of semiconductor between a pair of opposite type of semiconductors. And we know that there are two types of semiconductors, that is P-type semiconductor and N-type semiconductor. So either we can sandwich a thin layer of P-type semiconductor between two N-type semiconductors, or we can sandwich thin layer of N-type of semiconductor between two P-types of semiconductor. And depending on which semiconductor we are sandwiching between a pair of opposite type of semiconductors, there are two different types of bipolar junction transistors. And those two types of bipolar junction transistor are called as NPN transistor and PNP transistor. So as the name itself indicates, NPN transistor is one in which thin layer of P-type semiconductor is sandwiched between two N-type semiconductors. Similarly, PNP transistor is one in which thin layer of N-type semiconductor is sandwiched between two P-types of semiconductors. So we have two different types of bipolar junction transistor called NPN transistor and PNP transistor. And as I have told, transistor is a three-terminal, three-layer solid-state device consisting of two PN junctions. So the three layers or the three terminals of the transistor are designated as emitter, base, and collector. The three terminals are emitter, base, collector. So again, as the name itself indicates, here emitter emits the majority charge carriers, collector collects the majority charge carriers, whereas base controls the charge carrier movement from emitter to the base. So there are three terminals, those are designated as emitter, base, and the collector. But normally when we want to use any device as a two-port network, we need to have four terminals, like two for the input and two for the output. But the transistor has only three terminals. So how this difficulty is overcome then? Because when you want to use transistor as a two-port network, as I said, you need two terminals at the input side and two terminals at the output side. So transistor is having only three terminals. So this difficulty is overcome by making one of the three terminals common to both the inputs and output. Depending on which terminal is made common for both input and output, we have three different transistor configuration. And those three different transistor configurations are called as common base configuration, common emitter configuration, and common collector configuration. So if you make base common for both input and output, then it is called as common base configuration. Similarly, if you make emitter common, it is called as common emitter configuration. And if you make collector common, then it is called as common collector configuration of the transistor. And since there are three terminals, emitter, base, and collector, normally the three currents are designated as emitter current IE, base current by IB, collector current by IC. Similarly, the voltages between the different terminals of the transistors are designated as VBE is called as base emitter voltage. VCE is called as collector emitter voltage. And similarly, we can have VBC, which is the base collector voltage. And depending on in which configuration we are using the transistor, we can have three different current amplification factors also. Out of these three configurations, common collector configuration is rarely used. So commonly used configurations are common base and common emitter configuration. So in common base configuration, the current gain is denoted by alpha of the transistor, and in common emitter configuration, the current gain is denoted by beta of the transistor. Similarly, gamma is therefore common collector. So normally alpha and beta of the transistors are frequently used. Those are nothing but the current gain of the transistor in common base and common emitter configuration. For common base, the current gain is alpha, and common emitter, the current gain is beta. So basically current gain is nothing but it is a ratio of output current by input current. Right. Similarly, so in a common base configuration, output will be taking between collector and base, and input is applied between emitter and base. So collector current IC becomes the output current, and emitter current IE becomes the input current in common base configuration. That's why alpha is defined as IC by IE. Similarly, beta can be defined as IC by IB. So you should know this, what is alpha and beta of the transistor. Anyhow, these all details you have studied. Here, we are not going to discuss in detail about the transistor characteristics or applications of the transistor. What we are going to discuss here is the transistor biasing. Now, what exactly you mean by biasing? Basically, biasing to any device is nothing but applying the external voltages or applying the DC voltages or maintaining the DC conditions. So, we have two junctions in the transistor, emitter junction and the collector junction. So normally for normal operation of the transistor, emitter junction has to be made forward bias and collector junction has to be made reverse bias. So this can be achieved by using two different batteries. One battery we can use at the emitter side and we can make the emitter base junction forward bias, and one battery we can use at the collector side and we can make the collector base junction reverse bias. But using two biasing batteries is uneconomical, and also to have a very small battery at the emitter side is difficult. Hence, a biasing circuit is used in which a single battery is used along with some resistive element. So depending on what resistive elements we are using along with a single power supply VCC, we have three different biasing techniques. In all the three biasing techniques, we are going to use a single power supply in the collector called collector supply VCC, and we will be using some resistive element to derive the required zero signal base current. So depending on how we are using the resistive element along with these three, along with the biasing battery, we have three different types of biasing circuit. And those three different biasing circuits are called as base bias or a fixed bias circuit, then collector to base bias, and a voltage divider bias. That means how we are putting the resistor along with the supply VCC, we have these three different types. As the name itself indicates, base bias or fixed bias, we are going to put one resistor RB between the base and the collector supply. Similarly, in collector to base bias circuit, we are going to put the resistor between base and collector. Whereas in voltage divider bias circuit, we are going to use resistors R1 and R2 to form a voltage divider, and that voltage divider can be connected across the base. So these are the three biasing circuit. That's what we are going to discuss in this particular part of this module. Right? So we'll discuss one by one what are the three different biasing circuits and how they provide biasing to the transistor. And already I have told you, in all the three biasing circuit, what we are using is a single biasing battery VCC in the collector, and we will be using some resistive elements. Right? So we'll see one by one. The first circuit, that's what we are going to discuss, is of fixed bias circuit or a base bias circuit. So we'll see how the base bias circuit provides what is called as biasing to the transistor. Right. So this is the circuit diagram for a fixed bias circuit. This is the first one. You just concentrate on this first. This is the base bias circuit or the fixed bias circuit using NPN, and other one is PNP. So whether it is NPN or PNP, the analysis remains same. Only change in the NPN and PNP is all the directions of the current will be reversed and polarity of the voltages also will be exchanged. So you can see this highlighted portion of the circuit. This is the circuit of a fixed bias circuit or a base bias circuit. So you can see here what are the things we have used in this circuit. We have a transistor, right? The three terminals of the transistor already I have told you. In addition to that, we have the collector load RC, and to this collector load RC, we have connected the supply voltage VCC or plus VCC. Now, how this circuit provides biasing? By introducing what is called as a resistor RB. A high value of resistor RB is connected between the base and the supply VCC. That's why this biasing circuit is called as a base bias circuit, and it is also called as a fixed bias circuit. Why it is called as fixed bias circuit, you will be knowing shortly. Right. So how exactly we can analyze this particular circuit? Right. In order to analyze this circuit, in a base bias circuit, a fixed value of resistor RB, you can see this resistor RB is connected between this point, that is base, and the collector, and this is the collector load RC. So here who is providing biasing? Biasing will be provided by the resistor RB and the supply voltage VCC. Biasing will be provided by the resistor RB and the supply voltage VCC. Right. So basically biasing means what? Maintaining the required zero signal base current and the requiring zero signal base current and collector current and maintaining the proper collector emitter voltage is called as the biasing. So in fixed bias circuit, we use this resistor RB along with VCC to provide biasing. Now, since this VCC and RB values, we are going to select depending on what value of IB required. Once you connect the fixed value of VCC and the fixed value of RB, there is a fixed amount of base current flowing in this circuit. That's why this circuit is also called as fixed bias circuit. Again, you will shortly see it. What is this IB? How it depends upon RB and VCC. So here what we are doing is the moment you connect VCC to the circuit, the collector current IC will flow through the resistor RC and the current IB flows through the resistor RB. So how much amount of current flows in this base, that depends upon the value of resistor RB and the supply voltage VCC. Right. So by selecting proper values for RB and VCC, we can maintain the required zero signal base current IB, and we can make this base emitter junction forward bias, and this VCC will make collector base junction reverse bias. So we need not to have two different biasing batteries, one here, one here. So need for the biasing battery here is eliminated by introducing this resistor RB, so that from this VCC itself we will derive the required base current, and that base current itself is sufficient to keep the base emitter junction forward bias, right? So how exactly it provides the biasing? Now for that we need to apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law. I hope already all of you have studied KCL and KVL in your first year engineering as well as in your pre-university course. So in order to apply KVL, what you need is there should be a closed path or a closed mesh. So this VCC what we have shown, actually positive terminal is connected here and the negative terminal will be connected to ground. So we can say that there exists a closed loop or a closed path. Now we can apply KVL to the what? Input side. When we apply KVL to the input side, I can write this VCC, right? Then what is the voltage drop across this resistor RB? It is IB into RB. And what is the voltage drop between base and emitter? It is VBE. So algebraic sum of the voltage VCC plus the voltage drop across RB plus the voltage VBE should be equal to 0. That is what is the Kirchhoff's voltage law is. Algebraic sum of the currents in a closed path or a closed loop is equal to 0. So if I apply KVL to this, you can see here what we get is VCC minus IB into RB minus VB equal to 0, or you can write the supply voltage VCC. This should be equal to voltage drop across this plus voltage drop across this. So I can write VCC equal to IB into RB plus VBE. The same thing here, VCC minus IB into RB minus VB equal to 0, or I can write this as VCC equal to IB into RB plus VBE. If you rearrange the term in this equation, I can write this as IB into RB equal to VCC minus VBE. Therefore, what is IB? You can see here, IB from this equation we got is VCC minus VBE by RB. From this equation, you can see that in this equation, VCC is constant, RB is constant, and VBE is also constant, which depends upon the type of transistor used. The value of VBE is 0.7 for silicon and 0.3 for germanium. Hence, when you connect the value of RB and VCC, a fixed or a constant amount of base current I will start flowing in this circuit. Hence, this circuit is also called as fixed bias circuit. It is called as base bias because we are connecting resistor RB between the base and the collector supply, and is called as fixed bias circuit because the moment we connect a resistor RB, a fixed amount of base current IB start flowing in the circuit, which is given by VCC minus VBE by RB, where VCC is constant, RB is constant, and for a given transistor, VBE is also constant, which is 0.7 for silicon transistor and 0.3 for germanium transistor. Hence, fixed amount of current IB flows, and once you know the current IB, easily you can get the current IC using the relationship IC is equal to beta times IB, where beta is called as current gain of the transistor. So IC can be written as beta times IB. And once you get IB and IC, now you can apply KVL to the output side. If I apply KVL to this output side, I can write this supply voltage VCC equal to voltage drop across this plus the voltage drop across this. So I can write VCC equal to IC into RC plus VC from the output side. And if you apply KVL from the input side, I can write the same VCC equal to IB into RB into plus VBE. So from input side KVL, I got this equation. Similarly, if you apply KVL to the output side, we get VCC minus IC into RC minus VC equal to 0, or VCC equal to IC into RC plus VCE. And from this equation, you can get VCE as VCE equal to VCC minus IC into RC. So equation 1, 2, along with this, you can have IC is equal to beta times IB, These three equations are called as design equations of the fixed bias circuit. So this is very simple, and as I said, you can expect this particular question in your exam also. This is a standard question. Many a time they will ask, explain fixed bias circuit or define biasing and explain fixed bias circuit by giving its mathematical analysis. Whether they ask mathematical analysis or not, first you have to draw this circuit, then you have to apply KVL to the input, KVL to the output, you have to get this equation, and you have to write just 2-3 lines saying that when the resistor RB is connected, fixed amount of base current start flowing, and that fixed amount of base current gives rise to fixed collector current, because IC and IB are related by IC is equal to beta times IB. I hope it is clear. This is very simple circuit, and the analysis is also very simple. You need not remember all these equations. If you know how to apply the KVL, very easily you can get these equations, and using this equation, if they ask a simple numerical, you can solve that numerical also, because you can expect small simple numericals also on this part of the syllabus. So any doubts here? We have completed one biasing circuit called fixed bias circuit or the base bias circuit. Any doubts? Because next I want to solve one or two simple example, and in fact I need not tell you how to solve this simple example. If you have understood what is this circuit and how KVL is applied, and I said you concentrate only on this circuit. Don't bother about this PNP, because everything remains same. You can see the difference between this circuit and this circuit is that only the direction of currents and voltages are changed. You can see that. So you don't bother about this, concentrate only on this, and then you should be able to solve a simple example also on this. So all of you understood this? Any doubts? Yes, Abhay, have you understood this? Abhay, are you there? Omkar?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Now, do you can you able to solve the simple example on it? If I give this, here is an example. They are given.
Yes, sir. I can.
Shown in the figure. For the values indicated, calculate IB, IC, and VCE. Right. So this is what is the circuit they have given, and what they have asked is you need to compute what is called as the values of IB, IC, and VCE. Yes, this is the circuit given. Okay. Yeah, I hope the circuit is visible. This is the circuit given. It is a circuit of which biasing circuit? Obviously fixed biasing circuit with the values indicated here. What is the value of VCC? Aniket, what is the value of VCC given there?
18 volts.
RB is how much?
470 kilo.
RC?
2.2 kilo.
And HFE they have given. What is that HFE here? Sometimes beta is indicated by HFE. So HFE is nothing but the value of beta. Is that clear? And assume it is a silicon transistor. If you take it is a silicon transistor, what should be the value of VBE?
0.7.
What is the value of VBE for a silicon transistor?
0.7.
How much?
7 volt.
Yes, exactly. 0.7 volt is the value of VBE. Now they ask you to calculate IB, IC and VCE. So can anybody tell me how to compute IB here? How do you compute IB? Again, I am telling this is very important example. You may get it in your SCE also. Normally if they ask, it will be for minimum 8 marks, but hardly you will get the answer in 2 to 3 steps. provided you have understood what I explained in the last 10-15 minutes. How to compute IB now? You have to apply KVL to the input side. Yes, Aditi, can you tell me what will be the KVL equation for the input side? I have
Sir,
told you,
VCC is
you
equals to
remember. When you are applying KVL, see this VCC is connected here, no? This VCC will come in the, don't say that it is shown in the output side, so it is applicable only for this side. It is applicable for this side as well as this side. So you can apply KVL to the input or to the output. When you are applying KVL to the input, you have to consider this is equal to voltage drop across this plus this voltage drop. And when you are considering output side, this voltage equal to voltage drop across this plus this voltage. Is that clear? So can you tell me now what is the KVL equation for the input, Aditi?
VCC is equals to IB into RB plus VBE.
Very good. VCC equal to IB into RB plus VBE. So what we are interested in IB. So what is IB from that equation then? Yes, Aditi, what is IB? You told VCC equal to IB into RB plus VBE. So how do you get IB from that equation now? IB into RB is equal to VCC minus VBE. Therefore, what is IB? What is IB?
VCC divided by RB plus VBE.
You told no. See what you told. VCC equal to IB into RB plus VBE. That is 100% correct. So you have three terms there. VCC equal to IB into RB plus VBE. So shift that VBE to other side. When you shift that VBE to other side, what it becomes?
VCC minus VBE divided by RB.
No. VCC minus VBE equal to IB into RB. One by one you tell. Just I told to shift that VBE to other side. So VCC minus VBE equal to IB into RB. So what is IB then?
So VCC minus VBE divided by RB.
Yes, very good. So IB will be equal to VCC minus VBE by RB. VCC is how much here in this example?
18 volts.
18. And VBE how much you should take? I told it is silicon transistor. So how much you should take for VBE? How much? 0.7. And what is the value of RB? 470. So 18 minus 0.7 divided by 470 into 10 to the power 3 gives you what? IB. So that is what is shown here. You can see here. IB equal to VCC minus VBE by RB. 18 volt minus 0.7 volt divided by 470 kilo ohms. You can use your calculator. You will get the value of IB as how much? How much it is? 36.8 microamperes, because here kilo is there. Kilo means 10 to the power 3. Micro means 10 to the power minus 6. Once you get the IB, easily you can get the IC. How do you get IC now? I already told. What is the relationship between IC and IB? Yes? IC is equal to what? IC is equal to beta times IB. But here beta they have denoted by HFE. So you can write IC as HFE into IB or beta into IB. Beta value given is 100. The value of HFE or beta is 100. IB have computed. Substitute both, you will get IC. IC is 3.68 milliamperes. And once you get the value of IC, now you apply KVL to the output. Again, Aditi, what is the KVL equation for the output now?
VCC is equals to RC into IC plus VCE.
E plus VCE. So they are asked to compute what is VCE. So how do you get VCE from that? VCE equal to, it is VCC. It is not VCE again. There is a printing mistake here. This should be VCC. VCE equal to VCC minus IC into RC. VCC is 18 minus of IC is 3.68 milliamperes. RC is 2.2 kilo ohms. So it comes out to how much? 9.9 volt. And that is value is shown here. 9.9 volt. So it is very simple example. You can see just in 3 steps, you will get the answer. So again, I am repeating, what you need to remember here is how to apply KVL to the input how to apply KVL to the output. And then what is the relationship between input current and the output current? That is the current gain beta or the HFE. Once again I am repeating, HFE is nothing but what? Beta. Is that clear? I hope this particular example is clear. Already I have shared this PDF with you people. Just go through it and definitely you will understand the concept. If you have any difficulties, any doubts, definitely you can ask me anytime. Now similarly, you can do this. Calculate the minimum and maximum levels of IC and VCE for the circuit shown, considering HFE mean equal to 50 and HFE max. Means you have to solve the same example 2 times. Once by considering the value of beta as 50, another way by considering the value of beta as 200. Assume that you are doing 2 different examples now. In one, you have to take the value of beta. HFE is nothing but beta. Beta is 50. Here beta is 200. So they asked to compute IC and VCE. So to compute IC and VCE, first you need to compute IB. If you get IB, then only you will get IC. And once you get IC, by applying KVL to the output, you can get VCE. So exactly in the same way it can be done. When HFE mean equal to 50, right, you will get the value of IB is this. And when HFE is equal to 200, the value of IB will be different, because the value of IB is independent of HFE. So first you compute IB. IB is VCC minus VBE by RB. So we'll get IB as 36.8 microamperes. So once we get the value of IB, we'll get 2 different values of IC depending on the value of beta. When beta is 200, the value of IC is, you can see here, 200 into IB. And when the value of beta is 50, the value of IC will be 50 into this. So accordingly, you will get the different value for IC and VC. This is for beta equal to 200 and this is for beta equal to 50. Then you can draw this DC load line also. Whatever the values you have got, they can be plotted on the graph. That is about the fixed bias circuit. Now next, I will be explaining in brief about the connected to base bias circuit. You can see here what is the difference between the previous circuit and this circuit. It is almost same. In the previous case, we have connected resistor RB between the base and the supply voltage. But here we are not connecting the resistor RB between base and supply voltage. Where we are connecting this RB? Between base and this connector. We are not connecting to this supply. If you take this and connect here, connect at this point, it becomes fixed bias circuit. But if instead of going up and connecting here, if you bend here and connect here, it becomes connected to base bias circuit. So here, this value of IB, directly it is not depending on VCC. Because in the previous case, the value of IB was entirely depending on VCC. But in this case, indirectly again it depends on VCC only, but directly the value of IB depends upon this collector to base voltage. Whatever the voltage exists between the collector point and the base point, the value of IB depends on that. Hence, this circuit is called as collector to base bias circuit. Now, since we have connected the RB like this RC now comes at the output side as well as at the input side. Right? That is the difference between the fixed bias circuit and the connector to base bias circuit. So, if I apply KVL to the input side, we'll get one equation, and if I apply KVL to the output side, we'll get the another equation. The same way you have to do the analysis of this. So, can anybody tell me what will be the KVL equation for the input? What is the KVL equation for the input? Like how Aditi has explained for the fixed bias circuit. Now I want someone to explain what is the KVL equation for the input side and what is the KVL equation for the output side. Yes, Ankita, can you explain? You just try. What is the KVL equation for the input and what is the KVL equation for the output? If you want, I'll tell you, like this voltage now, VCC, can be split up like what? This is equal to voltage drop across this plus voltage drop across this plus this voltage. if you are taking to the input, and if you are taking through the output, this voltage equal to again this voltage plus this voltage, right? That is the change in the fixed bias circuit and the connected to base bias circuit. Yes, Ankita, tell me what is the KVL for the input now? Yes, fast. Yes. Let me see. You people are just for the namesake, you are present here. Yes, I am seeing some new face here. Ashwini. Ashwini, can you tell me what is the KVL equation at the input? Or at least say yes or no. Shreya?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is KVL at the input? Can you tell me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So VCC is equals to
Yes.
IC plus IB into RC.
Very good. Because now the
Plus-
current flowing through this resistor is sum of these two currents.
Yes.
So current into resistor. VCC equal to IC plus IB into RC. Then
plus
plus
RB into IB
yes, very good.
plus VB.
Yes, very good. VCC equal to IC plus IB into RC plus IB into RB plus VBE. That is
Yes.
the KVL for the input. Similarly, what is the KVL for the output?
VCC is equals to IC plus IB into RC plus VCE.
Yes, very good. That is what is written here. You can see here. Applying KVL to the outer loop, first we have written VCC. Actually, I have told you to write VCC equal to this. They have written, they have brought those two terms to this side. So then obviously they become minus. VCC minus IC plus IB into RC minus VC equal to 0. Or it can be rewritten as VCC equal to IC plus IB into RC plus VCE. Or VCE equal to VCC minus IC plus IB into RC. This is the output equation. Similarly, if you apply KVL to the what? Input side. Applying KVL to the, okay, this is actually for the input side, as I said, is this you should consider VCC minus IC plus IB into RC plus is equal to VBE. Now both these equations are simplified, and from this simplification finally it can be shown that IB is equal to VCC minus VBE divided by 1 plus beta into RC. Okay, don't bother about this, just you should know how to write these equations and how to write the output equation. So that is what is about the connector to base bias circuit is. So advantage of this circuit over fixed bias circuit is that here what was happening is collector current IC was entirely depending on beta. So if you change the transistor, the beta value will change and the IC will change immediately. So IC is entirely depending on beta. That was the disadvantage of fixed bias circuit, and that is overcome in this particular circuit by giving the feedback from output to the input. Since we are giving feedback from the output and input, if there is any change in the IB, that can be compensated by changing IC so that the IC plus IB can be kept constant, and this circuit can provide better stability compared to fixed bias circuit. Right? So that is the second circuit called connected to base bias circuit. So as I said, here you have to concentrate more on the fixed bias circuit, and the third one which we'll be discussing now called the voltage divider bias circuit. Right? So the third and very important biasing circuit is called as voltage divider bias circuit. Why it is called as voltage divider bias circuit is, here instead of using a single resistor like RB we have used in both the cases, here we are using two resistors R1 and R2, and we are connecting them in such a way that they forms the voltage divider. And in addition to R1, R2, we are adding one more resistor in the emitter to provide bias stabilization, and that resistor is called as the emitter resistor RE. Right? Now, when you see this circuit, this is called as the voltage divider bias circuit or the universal bias circuit, and this provides excellent biasing and stabilization to the transistor. Now, if you want to do the analysis of this circuit, there are two ways in which the analysis can be done. One is called as approximate analysis, another is called as the exact analysis. The analysis which is shown here is called as the approximate analysis. If you want to do the exact analysis of this circuit, then you have to go for what is called as Thevenin's theorem. By using Thevenin's theorem, we can do the analysis of this circuit, and that analysis is called as the exact analysis of the voltage divider bias circuit. And another is approximate analysis, where you can see already the approximation are done. Here, whatever the current I2 flows, we'll assume that it is 1/10 of this current IC. That is the assumption done. When we are assuming that the base current I2 flowing through the resistor R2, 1/10 of the collector IC, then it can be shown that this resistor value R1 is given by VCC minus VB, because voltage at this point is VCC, voltage at the other end of R1 is VB. So VCC minus VB by R1 gives you the current I2, or R1 will be VCC minus VB by I2. Similarly, R2 can be obtained by this voltage, that is VB minus 0 by R2. I2 can also be written as VB minus 0 by R2. So from you might have done, if you remember, this similar concept you applied in op-amps by using that virtual ground concept. How do you write current through a resistor? Current through a resistor is nothing but the voltage potential difference between the two ends of the resistor divided by that resistor. So if you want to find what is current through this, current I2 is equal to voltage at this end, that is VCC, voltage at this end we write VB, then VCC minus VB by R1 gives this current I2, or R1 can be written as VCC minus VB by I2. Similarly, same current I2 we are assuming to be flowing here, because in approximate analysis we are assuming IB is very, very small and we are neglecting that. So we'll get the R2. This is the design equation. Then by applying KVL to the output and approximating IE to be equal to IC, we can get this equation. If I apply KVL here, I could have written this KVL equation as VCC equal to IC into RC plus VCE plus IE into RE. Now this voltage also will come into picture. And if I assume this IC is almost equal to IE, then IE can be replaced by IC and we'll get this particular equation. And this VE can be written as IE into RE, but IE is equal to IC, so RE can be approximately written as VE by IC. So using this equation, this particular circuit can be designed and we can provide biasing to the transistor, and this biasing method is called as voltage divider bias circuit. In fact, it can be, analysis can be done, as I said, by using a Thevenin's theorem, but I don't want to go in details of that. Just you should remember the three circuits and how to apply KVL, and just a few lines explanation about this circuit you should write. And again, I am repeating, out of these three circuits, definitely you can expect at least one in your examination. And it is not at all difficult. So very easily you can score the marks from this particular part of the syllabus. So that's what about the transistor biasing. Again, I am repeating, I have not gone into details of the biasing. Whatever is required for you people from your examination point of view, I have covered. And here only just you can see around 2 to 3 pages notes are given to you. You can just go through that, and definitely you will able to if you get this question, definitely you can attempt this question in your examination too. Right? With this, we'll close the discussion on this transistor biasing. That is the second part of this module 1. And in the next class, in fact, this you already studied a stable multivibrator using a 555 timer in your first year engineering. Quickly, I will revise that also, and then we'll study the operational amplifier again. What is op-amp? And we'll be studying few applications of the op-amp, like V to I converter, I to V converter, etc. Right? If you have any doubts before I close, you can ask. In the next class, I'll be discussing about the multivibrator in brief. Then we'll be starting with the op-amp. And then maybe after one more class, we could able to complete the discussion on this particular module 2. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask.